Welcome back, everybody. Sorry for that temporary delay, but the problem has been smoothed out, and we will be finding ourselves in-game in just a moment. If you missed it, XSET versus Cyclops.
It is indeed, and it is going to be an explosive matchup here at Clubhouse. A more structured map, a step-by-step kind of map, as we have said before. For those of you that are new to Siege, it basically just means every single side, you have like one or two approaches you could go for, but every approach is basically coming down to the same basics. For example, the top floor, which we call CCTV, you open up the balcony outside, you take garage control. You could already go for a plan at that moment, but if you really want to be a show-off, you can also take the construction under control to stop rotates even further. And that is just one of these examples that we, of course, have for this map. And we'll be explaining them to you as we go on, as we see the different sides coming through, and we see the operator lineups being chosen. But soon, we get into that game.
That's it, in just a moment. But as you said, it's Club, it's XSET, who are generally, as an entity, having their first LAN performance. Obviously, they have 3 players that have been on the board before, blah, blah, blah. There's still stuff that we said before the game. Blah, blah, you're up against Cyclops. Blah, blah, they're really scary. To anybody, every single team who has to play them or plays them says they're a terrifying team. So this, for XSET, is going to be a test. This is going to be the biggest shake of the timbers of the boat as possible. I'm not going to say to ease them in, but it's sure going to wake them up if they're not already.
It's definitely going to be waking them up. And again, I'm going to be pulling it back to past events we've had where during the 6th Invitational, was that 2020, I think, in Paris? Yes, it's all so long ago already. Where Cyclops went up against BDS and Empire, 2 of the best teams Europe had to offer.
2 of the best.
And they played on Cafe and like, you know what? If we just wait for them to get into the building, then they're going to be strategically beating us. But what if we just do not let them get into the building? What? It's insane. They spawned everything and it worked out.
It's a play, it's a strat, it's a game, it's a way of finding a solution. But is it the one that will come together? Is it the one that will make things happen? As hopefully we happen sooner rather than later. We're teetering on the edge.
Luckily we have the ever so amusing text chats from the players. We do. You guys will not see that.
You guys will never see how fun and funny the Cyclops players are in an all chat.
Definitely not, but they're always fun to go along. They miss medics, by the way, and of course medics, if you're watching at home, we gotta say it, get better soon.
Get better soon. Everybody wish our boy medics.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
The most unluckiest of timings.
Unluckiest time, the day before.
Yeah.
So, all of our love. This is the first international thing that we haven't seen medics at since like SI 2017 or something like that. Like, he has been such a mainstay, and he is dearly missed, and he knows this. But get well soon.
Definitely get well soon. Clubhouse! Let's just start, shall we? We're headed towards it.
We've filled enough.
We've filled enough.
We've done enough.
It's time to let the players do the talking. Actually, we'll still be talking.
We'll still be talking.
We'll have something to talk about.
They'll do the talking with their gun skill. They're doing the shouting on the other side of the room. Ladies, gents, and non-binary friends, welcome to Clubhouse. Cyclops versus XSET. Cyclops are starting themselves on the defense. Huge energy, huge passion, and huge guns, and that is it. That is what I want from this game. I don't want an easy game for either team. I want to see both of them stretched and stressed, because I think both of those teams, regardless of whether they win or lose, if it's a long game that pushes them to the brink, that will fire them both up so much for what comes next.
Like, I really want every map this major to go at least in between those 10 to 15 round margins there. You don't want to see 7-0, 7-1s, or even the 7-2s. And as the bands come through, they continue to be as loud as ever. The Hibana one is going to be changing up, especially the bottom floor a little bit here, Emmy, as hatches become a bit more difficult to open. However, with the Cade ban and the additions of the Heart Breach gadgets, and those making more appearances here and there as well, that negative effect might be mitigated there. And some of you might be wondering, Montaigne, that operator gets banned? Monty gets banned?
Cyclops?
Well, for the people that are new, there is that one player on Cyclops that seems to be very, very proficient with it. Anaton is the name, and he managed to get 7 clutches in the APAC North playoffs. North themselves, and of course the Japanese league in the last 3 months, for example, whilst playing a lot of Monty. So definitely an operator you want to take out of their hands if you can. However, we also know from the past 3 years we've been casting them, that doesn't really stop him. That just puts a more powerful gun in his hands than that P9.
We are opening up on Bar Stage, a site that obviously had a little bit of a facelift not too long ago and found itself becoming a little bit more of an entrant into the beauty pageants of how to put a hold together on Club. People drifted away from CC because although we talk about how this map is formulaic to a T, everybody knows the questions that are going to be broached and approached. This is the site that started to post some new ones. You started to get a better idea of how you could stretch the game, and with attacker repick at this point, when you're going to have to try and not just outsmart, but double down on that so they can sort of get a peek at your homework and then try and change things on the fly. The option hasn't come through here, so it's down to Cyclops to see if this hold comes together. Gator waits, he waits, and he runs.
Just at the wrong timing there. Someone was about to come around the corner, quickly puts a pass into position though, but it's not the only one that is currently attempting a bit of a peek towards the outside. We have Black Gray sitting here ready in the garage storage as well, hoping to find one off guard. There is, of course, that small opening in a window. Gator takes a lot of damage. Not quite sure from where that must be. The CC wall from the outside. Just a wall being attempted, and Dusty will decide to drop down just slightly, but still lives.
Yeah, they've got themselves a bit of a surrounding sort of path around the backside of Lounge. They're making sure that nobody got an easy entrance into Garage, but you can see the way XSET's going for the cliff. They had the body on the far side of the quad wall. They have somebody going to the construction wall, I think was what was just popped. Yoga, he's making sure that they can force them out of CC, because if you are taking this site, if you are trying to put some pressure onto the stage in the bar, well, it's the stage. Usually you don't see too many strip takes. Often there's a single player there acting as an anvil to the back of the hammer that's trying to cash and cascade all the way across the cash room on the second story, and that's why Black Gray is here, top of red. It's the only bit of a bunker, but he needs that stretch. Gator is trying to offer everything he can, bouncing up and down towards Adam in the top of blue, but there's a free catch, a cold kit, and the man is out of there. Black Gray gets a very cheeky pick there, and XSET suddenly is going to have to try and rebuild.
Weird position to start droning there, but he goes to the second. Unfortunately for him, gets traded out though. It is Gomez that will be able to find the kill there with the FAMAS. C4 gets tossed out, might find another one. Yes, it does. Anaton able to find one, and it's a very explosive first 90 seconds here in Cyclops versus XSET, and it's only a little bit of taste what we get to see throughout the rest of this map.
I think that's it. If we're going to sort of phrase this as you're learning lessons, this is one that Cyclops teaches, well, pretty much everybody. Nothing is ever safe. If there's a little sniff of territory, as we see Anaton trying to take round the back, well, they're going to see if they can take it. Goes for the second over the back, but the gym equipment keeps him a bit safe. Will he take the drop on the hatch? He has the option and the choice, but with 50 seconds, the XSET are sort of running out of their own. They're going to see if they can still try and apply some pressure here on the far side, pre-firing towards the back of red, but there's a bit of isolation between the two new pickups. The recent additions to the squad up from Tier 2 to the Tier 1 to the top of the boards, but they're quickly meeting some of the mainstays. There is Anaton trying to drop shot with a D ground on the far side, but 30 seconds, hopping down the main stairs. They've seen the eyes on the site and seen a single player behind the chassis. They're just going to keep pre-firing, and it is Cyclops that open up the first round.
Anaton with the quad kill there. No fear, just jumping down with that deagle. Able to shut him down in the end there. That is 1-0 for the team from Japan, for the team from APAC North. And they're continuing on here. This is what we want to see from them. Of course, that pure aggression and the surprises they keep on tossing up, because Anaton, he just snuck by time and time again.
This is that thing that we talked about. This is that elephant in the room, which actually isn't that much of an elephant, because everybody talks about it with Cyclops, is, oh no, it's Cyclops. You never know what they're going to do. You can never predict the way that they play the game, because the way they play the game is so sort of cemented in their own turf and territory. And that's always that concern with any fresh team coming up to a Tier 1 scene for the first time as a set of 5, especially with players that haven't done it before, is you're always going to have a bit of caution. You're always going to have a little bit of concern in your opening game. Club was a smart pick because that map takes away a lot of that just from its own existence. But Cyclops do not have that fear. They've never had that fear. You could put them against a super team of the best at their best, and they would play the game exactly the same. And that is the tough thing for XSET to try and break past. But if they do,
yeah, if they do, it could be a problem. That's definitely it. And that is what some people say about Cyclops as well. As soon as you do figure out how they play, there is an opportunity to try and counter into that here. But Blacklight just sneaking around in the garage here. He's looking, he's hoping to find an early entrance. And as the door gets opened up, that's just an invite for him to be looking through. Spots the head, finds the entry, kills Cyclops again. And he goes even more aggressive, but gets punished for it this time.
That's it. That's exactly the sort of play now. And you can see XSET is starting to learn a couple of lessons there. Kino suffers in a back and forth with Gatorada on the top floor. He's just going to pull himself out and get out of there and see if he can survive for as long as possible. It's worth remembering. Hey, where's the sight? All the way down below. And that is probably the first time well, not even the first time XSET's seen somebody use a run out like that. And that's the thing. It's so uncomfortable to play against.
You're not safe anywhere. You're thinking you're going on a drone. You're thinking you're holding something off. No. They're just going to be running after you. They have a feeling. They have an idea where you are. And they will be hunting you down. You need to be ready to reply at any given moment, any given time. And Aegator in the strip club now is playing a bit of a lurk role. And as this site is on that bottom floor, these hatches need to be opened up. They need to set themselves up for a push. But as soon as they do that, Emmy, that is exactly when he will strike in the back of them.
So Spirits, he was sort of highlighted after the first game of XSET's recent run in NAL of being the voice that brought a lot of them together. He has great IGL experience, and that was what they were initially missing. So this is going to be a bit of a test. Once again, another mark for them to try and bring that together here. The burn over the top, but it's Aegator hanging around in strip, gets an easy pickup because, well, as you said, he was hanging around in strip, the far side of the map where nobody else is home. It's tricky when you're already in a deficit from 2 peaks outside the building. They swing back. They find a bit of revenge here, but less than a minute, and they've still got pretty much all the structural work to do.
Maverick gone. No way to open up these hatches. I mean, they need to be moving down these main stairs here now. And of course, there's an opportunity. You can slide yourself a way in. But a CZ that is just taking a fight with a CZ right here. Might be using... Oh, the Nitro comes in. It's a double from Gatorada. Look at the tiny hole on top of that. Just enough to get it through. And that is another round for Cyclops. And they're happy about it.
I mean... if you can't hear them, I'm sure the other stream can. With the way we got it set up, 2 in a row here for Cyclops, and it's a bit of a false start for XSET. They haven't really been able to get into the building. You can see the start of a setup, but Cyclops strike during that window. Okay, in the first round, they got the perfect trap on somebody that was on drone. That's a very tough thing to predict because, well, you're just in a bad position. The second time there, he pushed into the doorway. He knew that the pressure was coming and he bit back. And at this point from the side of XSET, you have to start sort of seeing what you can thread together, what you can try and build here on your attacks, because it's always going to be tricky against defense like this. They can get one here. They can double it down and find themselves on a 4-2. That could be something that they build through on their defense half.
For sure, but the whole thing is, Cyclops is just picking them up everywhere, right? So you need to be a bit safer maybe when you're on that drone. Make sure you're in a corner where they really have to commit hard to get you, not just one where they can just look through the breach you've just made and they will find a kill here. It's a late shield that gets put up, but of course no one on the elevation yet where they could challenge Gatorada out there. So the shield gets deployed on that hatch and will definitely be a play spot later.
Now it is also worth mentioning XSET are generally better on their defense. They were a little bit shaky getting good, well put together attacks together. Obviously you can only really compare them into the play into their inter-region, but at the same time, Cyclops, they'll usually lead with a Monty, but they struggle more on their attacks as well. So, as I said, a 4-2 isn't the most unexpected play. It's just been a false start. They haven't really been able to get a true bite out of the first 2 rounds. The C4's prepped and ready to try and do some damage here onto that Maverick, see if they can get a bit of a catch. The mirror window and the setup's pretty standard. There's the hold there behind the bomb chassis. It's a risky place to play in, but it offers you at least some safety. There's a C4. Doesn't quite get the catch, but Spirits does. There is an opener. There's a quick bite back down in the bar underneath. Finds themselves a route out of there. Nobody's holding onto the metal stairs down the corridor. And with that first C4 baited out, Diaz isn't going to overextend. end. He gets that line open and he gets himself out of there to support the players. It's XSET. They're growing, they're learning. They know how important this round is.
Yeah, they actually deployed that C4 but didn't quite blow it up yet at the start of it. So Anaton unable to eventually get a kill with that. It is another kill that comes in though. XSET, Diaz will be able to find one more. Leaves it in a 4v3. Cyclops here in a disadvantage. Just a slight one though. A player. But look at how many people are up on the jacuzzi balcony there with the mirror window still being in position. They need to get these grenades in to dislocate Anaton.
He was concerned he was being droned there. He obviously got rid of the Gemini replicator, but they've set themselves up. And this is what I said. XSET, they went for a little bit more of a let's get in as a block. Let's get in as a unit. Let's make sure that we can trade off these fights because Cyclops are going to try and throw themselves at us from any which way. But if we can be set up in a position to respond to that, well, we're in this position now. We have this man advantage. Let's try and make it count. The pressure's coming down to Anaton, and he wants to peek back. They're looking to see if they can get rid of either that jammer or that. The mirror window gets popped open. He now can't play this. He was on a drone as well, and this is what we want to see from XSET, this growth, the importance of this round, the drop onto logistics. They have a player now playing on that side, but they're able to swing around, get the cutoff. They just couldn't save the man on the stairs, 30 seconds, and it's the 3 versus 2.
There is a rotation. Oh, actually, no, it has been barricaded off, so they cannot quite get back in. Need to create a new one now with the M870, not the M870, the English shotgun to come through. It's going to be giving away a lot of information right here. And as they start pushing through, they take care of some more drones. 20 seconds left in the clock. They should know exactly where they're coming from here. And the first one gets picked up. Kino tries to go for the defuse, but it doesn't even last to the end. Yoga is going to be able to lock off the first round for XSET here.
There it is. There's that energy, and there is that response. I love the way XSET played that because, well, they didn't overextend their hand. They knew that they had to slow themselves down, play a little bit more insular, bring yourself a little bit more into yourself, and let Cyclops try and batter down onto your hatches. You can get a response in that manner. You can get at least a bit of a control, and you have the early warning symbol of, well, they're just going to take a fight with you. So be ready to take a fight back, which is the change from the earlier 2 rounds. Cyclops, they drop 1, but there's still a couple more on the board for them to see if they can cement themselves through here. CC, they're doing the 4-site rotation. Can they make some success? And to be fair, a lot of modern teams can't.
No, a lot of modern teams are unable to do so at the last couple of months, maybe even year, because we've said about it before. It is such a default setup, normally on the defense. This is something we do not very often see. And there might be a reason for that. Either way, it is a step-by-step plan. You go for the breach outside. You go and take the garage control at that point. That moment, you have an opportunity to go for a plant. So you need to deny either. Now, we all know that with all the gadgets available nowadays, it is almost impossible to keep that garage, the balcony wall shut. There's grenades coming from underneath. There is RC Roteros coming around the corner. Twitch drones that suddenly can jump. There's so much going on, and it's just difficult to keep it shut.
Just a very quick technical pause.
Yeah, just a very quick
technical pause. I didn't want to interrupt. I didn't want
to
interrupt.
No, it's totally fine. I mean, it's nothing happening now anyway.
No, there's nothing happening. So it's time to talk, and you guys and gals and pals at home can see. It's a technical pause.
Yes.
From my screen. We are just rehosting the lobby.
Is that a shattered mouse, or is it a rock that we're...
I don't know. I can't see from the distance
glasses.
to my casting. Maybe it works. Maybe it's like X-Hard Striker Ollie SI where he tried
exactly.
And went, is this how people are supposed to see it? Now wears glasses. And Milos.
I'm very happy I enlightened his life of what true vision could be.
Okay, so 2-1. XSET have just been able to find a round back. As I said, 2 over this half isn't the end of the world. It's a pretty standard position for how these 2 teams approach this map and how this map likes to sort of play itself. Okay, sure, you might see it in a more attacker sort of driven game that attackers will have that 4-2 split into their half, but it's still that sort of build around. It doesn't have that even balance that a lot of other maps and a lot of other players and places do. XSET, they have a great chance here to see if they can try it, and they're going to have the tactical to talk about it.
Very smart. I mean, you get the technical first, and then you decide to, you know what? We're going back to some sites now that we have seen before, at least they think, because they haven't seen the CCTV cache room yet. So let's just talk about what went wrong. What can we do better? We want to get more sites. We want to be locking this one off with a 3-3 split, or even a 2-4 in favor of XSET. So there's no better time to talk than now, because you said it before, the defenses are quite strong. So if they manage to take the initiative here, then they might be able to lock it off quite quickly.
Now, obviously, it was a second floor site that went away from them. They're going to see if they can try and make the other one work. They did have the option of going back to bar, or obviously gym if they wanted to try and double down, and they opted not to. They didn't want to see if they can try and stretch their legs, which, to be fair, regardless of how this goes, that still keeps a lot of options open for them. That means they'll still have 3 sites that they could choose from on the next, including Church, where it was probably one of their, I'm going to say sturdiest, because it's always tough to compare bar with how aggressive they hold it.
There was a lot of aggression in those first 2 rounds, and it got punished a little bit more in that third. Funny so far, though, every single entry kill has led to the round win.
There's only been 3.
There's only been 3,
but
I mean, for now, it's still 100%.
You know,
they all got traded, though, most of them, very quickly, except for that second round. And it just leaves you to wonder, how effective will this be throughout the rest of the match? Are we going to continue that 100% conversion? Probably not. At least most of the time we won't. That's why the percentage is about 70 to 80% conversion overall. But yeah, it shows that Cyclops bring that early aggression, able to play with these spawn peaks and able to find results out of it, really puts them on the forefront.
All right, Cyclops, you've also had a moment. It's always worth remembering the TAC timeout works 2 ways. You get yourself your own chance to talk amongst your team as well to see if what you think is the disconnect, what you think is the drive here. But it's always tougher. It's something that we get the pleasure, now we have Fabian in amongst our desk to talk about this stuff from his perspective of sort of saying, well, it's the big brain of Siege, and he thinks that it generally works better for attackers because there is more that they can adapt, more that they can change in that very short window. Whereas defenders, you've run your defense. You know the routes that you got to take to put up those hards. You don't really have much other time to try and build anything else there. Very quick approach onto the mirror window. Got punched, got broken open, and that's dangerous. Kids, don't approach that because, well, there's C4s on the board.
That's exactly it, right? That's why it gets to open up. They want to be able to play with the C4 there, and now you have Diaz. You have him on that Maverick, and at some point they would like to open it up. They will do so instead with one of those Selmas, so not really going to be able to do much about it. However, not completely open up. I believe you might have just been able to see that there, which will definitely provide some issues later on.
Gatarada through that C4, and I think he thought his number was caught there. It could have been. The drone game has started to grow here a bit from XSET. They're still keeping themselves cautious. I think this is one of the longest that we've had, all 10 players still on the board, and whether it's because Cyclops aren't trying to get too aggressive as they were before, they think that XSET started to work things out, and they're going to try and slow their own pace a little bit and sort of put the pressure on at that minute mark because, well, you can. It's that now caution that might be a little bit of a danger here. A great take from XSET, the grenade up with the combined pressure and push. There is still, obviously, Suzuki here with those ADSs to try and catch anything else. And there's Gatarada able to find Spirits on the far side and get rid of the Finker.
Is they still trying to continue on with the man advantage or trading here? A very aggressive Anaton right here will be taking out a drone. He might not have a clue, but the garage has fallen. And as he just retakes it, he jumps over the window there, drops the diffuser, spots 2 more, but he's unable to connect any of his shots. And it is going to be XSET. That isn't a man advantage then, as Gatarada just runs out.
Gatarada thought he might be a bit smart there, but he's sort of given the game away as to where he is. 1 player on side site. That gives XSET a little bit of time to reconvene. Yoga, he's going to try and push up the bottom of red. They just spray and hit that a bit early. They're going to see if they can try and get a bit of backline pressure here. A good idea. Pop that open. You can now pop up if they try and zoom their way through. They're looking behind the server stack, the ping and the player, but the most important one is the one on the far side of the site you got to watch. They're going for a retake. They get taken back. It's a triple there for Diaz now, and they lock it out. A huge round from one of the new upstarts.
The garage control definitely important there. They were able to find 2 kills in that position. 1 by a nade and 1, actually 3 kills because Anaton jumped in right afterwards as well. So the majority of Cyclops fell apart in that garage because they wanted to hold on to it so badly. And I said it before, you kind of have to. They tried to keep the wall shut. They weren't able to do so. They played with a mirror window, but that one was opened up quite quickly as well with a Selma right afterwards. So then they tried to continue retaking that garage. Anaton, the last man to try and attempt to do so, found a kill, but nothing more than that.
Back down to Church and Cyclops. They've now dropped 2 in a row, and as I said, it's an important figure for XSET to hit. If they can push beyond it, oh, that could look very good for them. They've started to come a little bit alive here. They've had their timeouts. There's no other conversations they can have with Bodega. He's just got to sit and watch and hope the many lessons he seeded into these team grow into beautiful plants of destruction, which might find them some more points here. Cyclops, they at least still have theirs as time to talk, but as I said, they're generally better on their defense on club. They've got to see if they can try and secure a little bit more control because, well, as you've said before, if your game gets guessed as Cyclops, sometimes it starts to become a little bit quick against you.
Now quickly look up to the right top there. 4 drones have been lost. Easy just quickly pointed it out to me, of course. Gomez still has to, with the Twitch, they work as information gathering as well, but they are a bit more important, as you can take out utility with those as well. And Anderson, he's just waiting. He has that Nitro in hand. He's waiting for someone to start punching up, and as Blackray gets an entry, yet again, it took them a while before they were able to find one again. It is Cyclops that now have some good papers. Why are the drones just sitting there?
I mean, that drone had all the intel. Unless it was on the dead player of spirits, it's otherwise dead now and joined them. They've gone a bit wider. Yoga's able to find one. And there's Blackray getting out of there. Gator gone. That's 2 rounds in a row. He hasn't really been able to have a connection here with the onslaught that's coming against them. And, you know, he's been not as hot as he often is, but one of the big stats that he could sort of play around was how often he had some success in the entry. He was generally positive. And sure, you've got Anaton and Blackray that usually lead that stats with much bigger numbers, but it's still a good body to have, and for them to start to fall apart isn't boding well. He's now touching corner Anaton. He's hoping he gets some cover from the other man I just mentioned before. That pairing is one that can work wonders and well, but XSET's working better right now.
One of the Twitch drones quickly gets taken out, so a Black Eye gets put in his replacement there, but Gomez is able to find that quite quickly. Dispatches of it as well. Still has a second Twitch drone in that same hallway, waiting for Anaton to expose himself. A little bit too much there, so the rest of XSET can start to collapse on either that side of the map or others, as we have 2 currently creeping through the dirt tunnel there. There is a smoke canister that got tossed in prematurely, though, so they are aware. They seem to be stalling them down right here, but Diaz coming in from the steps right here could be absolutely great.
It's a very different take here. I think they realized just how loose and aggressive the play was. They don't have to watch as much here, and now they can just watch the sight. Popped over the top of a wall, is able to find a kill over a player. They're going to go for a close swing. They can't get the connection. Blackray with a double. The 2 remaining are locked down on the far side behind a hefty smoke. They got to wait. 50 seconds now, and the kid is in a bit of an awkward place here. They might have a cross angle, they might have an idea, but they don't have much time. So rotations in the lineup here is going to be that dangerous play. An early C4 doesn't quite get the full connection. As I said, the rotations come through. Yoga's now going to see if he can try and draw some attention, some focus, and some fire here towards the main stairs. It's a pre-fire that gets the connection there. Kino gets one, can't quite find the lock on the second. It's a quick pick back up, and Cyclops stop the bleeding. But there's still one more round. XSET can lock this even here as Cyclops go 3-2 up.
They could definitely indeed, and I understood the rotation there. You wanted to shut down the rotation opportunities for Cyclops there in case the diffuser didn't manage to come in quite far. There was no way for them to get back in because you were holding from that main stairs. Unfortunately, though, they were unable to lock out Blue, and it's able to just pop up, get one, and then Blackray supporting him getting the injury in the end there onto the Maverick that put up quite closely to themselves as well. At least Cyclops in this 3-2 lead right now.
Cyclops, you've been able to get yourself one back up there, and it was a much more sort of courteous defense. They didn't overextend too much. They got that early bite, sure, and you had that single player. I'm not entirely sure how Gator was removed from the board. That was elsewhere, and whether they were trying to offer some semblance of support to that player, or it was just XSET lent in. Got a bit of aggro, got a bit of blood on the other side of their guns. Either way, it was something where Cyclops are very different to those early 2 rounds, and they found success with it. But now we're back at the opener, how it opens so far. Are they going to see if they can lean back into that aggression? Or XSET a little bit more attuned and aware of it? And where are they going to structure themselves and take? Because we've just seen for the first time 2 of the same side, and we've seen 2 different takes from XSET.
I need to press that again, sorry. We definitely have
that bit.
No, it's fine. It's another entry kill that we have. It's Gator. That will find Kino. And that is yet another entry kill, the 4th of this half here for the side of Cyclops. But they don't stop with that. They know that they can get more aggressive. And they try to do so as well. They want to be doubling down on the advantage they've just gotten.
Well, this is the thing that we sort of said about them. They know how important these defense rounds are because they're more likely to struggle on their attack. There's another run out, another spray, pray and a hope. Gatorada, unfortunately, doesn't quite have a connection. Blackray's on the other side of a prepped window. He wants to see if he can do some damage as well. And XSET, They've lost Kino. They've lost that ace and a bit of hard destruction. They still have the Maverick. They still have some options, and it's not the most sort of driven by it, but you're still trying to get some control above. Spirits, he's been able to sneak his way closer and closer, but it's softened off, so he's not going to go any further. He was hoping a player would be in a tricky position. He's just going to smash it open as the pressure comes across the top. They're pushing the Cyclops players out of position.
Yeah, but for now, the construction is still under control of Cyclops, and as long as no one is on that highway, as long as logistics is still under control of Cyclops as well, they're just going to be able to hold this off, Emmy. That hatch is so crucial for a plant inside of the stage area, and as long as this is under control of Cyclops, there is no way that XSET is going to be able to go for a plant around that side. You see, I believe Yokai Drone just hopping back and down as well, trying to get some information. 2 stories indeed. Doesn't see anything for now. It is quite easy here down on that top floor. No real pressure coming through yet. Grenades are being tossed in, but don't deal too much damage.
So Iagate is in a power position here. He's watching towards the default plant spot as the pressure comes from stock, from underneath and from the double of the side of the lounge. Gatarada gets Yoga, is able to take care of the buck. That puts them in a tricky situation. Swings in, Black-Gray. Tries to find more and more and more and more and more and finds a little bit too much. Overfilled, and suddenly XSET's been able to bite back a second on the second story as well. Now they're still in a position, but there's still the man on the hatch. And that's the big danger, because he has the watch to all the defaults. As soon as it tries to slip in, well, they don't have that control. So they've rotated. They now have the players in the kit around on the kitchen side. They've seen a bit of an entrance here, and, well, now they've seen a bit of an entrance there. Iagator is still in this position. Iagator is the man that might be able to do the bits in the business right now. If he goes unchecked, that's the big ask. And that's where XSET need to try and structure themselves here.
It really depends on where they want to go for the plan, though. If it is where the ping is currently located, they will be picked up. The diffuser will be dropped by Iagator. They need to go for a different site here. No, they won't. The diffuser is down. 24 seconds. Scissorsy on those main stairs is going to be able to provide some support as well. And Spirits now comes in. He's going to try and recover it there. There's no one on the hatch anymore. At least they think so.
15 seconds, Scissorsy's going for the rotate, has the pings, is just going to see if he can wait and get the catch. The Aruni's opening holes, and they're going to move their way over to Billiards behind the bar. No, it's a triple kill for Iagator. The player's going to see if he can stick it. He has to pick up sticks. 4-2 to Cyclops.
And I believe that was an Iagator quad kill to be coming in. He played it from the hatch, got that first kill, knew he was going to be watched, and decided to just rotate off, head towards CCTV, down the red stairs, strike them right in their backs as they try and go for an additional plant attempt there. And Cyclops, they lead 4-2. A little bit of a dip in the middle of this game with Bathroom and Garage not really going their way. CCTV, that is. And with that, eventually, we'll be able to find themselves back. They stemmed the bleeding and now leading 4-2.
One man, one hatch, and unfortunately one bit of data that slipped through their fingers. Their XSET punished by a single player in a single power position. It shows just how patience is a virtue and is something that can be rewarded heavily. Now they have an opportunity to try and bite their way back into this game. As I said, they're generally been better on their defense. They can bring some good structure and good sort of ideas together. Obviously, we talked about it before, Cyclops off the board. It's a ban that only really goes against one team in the world, and that team is Cyclops. They're going to have to act without it now. They know this, and they've obviously got prepped because, well, XSET aren't the first team to ban Monty against them.
No. And I said it before as well, it's not like it hurts them that much. I mean, it's a very annoying operator to play against if Anderton is currently playing it. I mean, there's a handful of players you can name that are just insane with those shields. But it doesn't mean he's completely useless after you ban it out. He's still going to be able to, well, sufficiently be able to have an impact on the game here. And as he's playing onto the Maverick right now, it seems like XSET wants to bring a bit of aggression towards them as well with some C4s and a P10 Roni.
I mean, you kind of want to meet them at their own game, don't you? You kind of want to put that pressure back against them. You want to be making trouble for Cyclops because you know they're going to be making trouble for you. Here, a bit of a spread. Scissorsy's going to see if he can try and get some control. It's one thing sort of noting. I know that we have a bigger pool of data for them, but they are very good at getting the kit down usually. They have a huge number of plants as a team, and it's something where a lot of them have actually contributed to it. It's not quite as sort of driven as the ideas of XSET. Cyclops are more, well, whoever's got it in the pocket, see if you can make it work.
Yeah, Anatton, for example, 15 plans last 3 months, Susa C 13 plans. So it really shows that 2 of these players are consistently getting these kits down here, and that is what they will be aiming to do now. 2 minutes left on that clock for that first action phase. Cyclops is hunting down the roamers that XSET are currently fielding, and it seems like everybody has been falling back towards the site, and that also gives the opportunity to Cyclops now to start hammering open the ceiling, to start opening up these hatches, and to start putting pressure onto the direct site.
It is that sort of standard hold. The game you play is wasting time on the top floor. Okay, Cyclops, they might have decided they wanted to find a fight, but this is why we talk about them being a different entity to a lot of other teams. The way that we've just seen it done by XSET is the more standard and traditional extended hold. You waste time, you waste utility. They've now taken 2 minutes and a fair bit out of the pockets of Cyclops, and only now can Cyclops start really trying to do some damage onto the site. Spirit slips away as the roof starts to cave underneath him. They didn't quite get the full catch on the read, and as Gatteratic goes to work and does some business, it's the start of this grenade, but they think that they've left at this point.
Now, the Church and Arsenal is a very difficult side to attack. You have some hatches to drop from, but that is not ideal. None of the Siege players want to be dropping into an active gunfight there, so you avoid it if you can, and that means blue control. That means main stairs control, but those are also held off by long lines of sight, by choke points, as you may. They're currently being choked off by smoke canisters.
Well, they're going to see if they can put the pressure onto the wall itself, but it's currently locked in, so they use that as a moment to slip their way on by. If they can get some destruction over the top, well, they might have just taken out some of those Selmas, but they've also given Gator a bit of movement. They'll think that that wall is safe. The drop on the hatch gives a bit of the game away. Yoga gets caught on the far side by Black Gray. The man on the table does a huge amount of damage back. There it is. They've been able to get rid of the jammer. The wall starts to pop, as does Anatton on the far side. It's now suddenly starting to light up all blue. Cyclops, huge pressure onto the church wall, but power positions, and there is one. They get the diffuser cold. A quick pick back up. It's a 2 versus 1 on the far side. They've got to see if they can stick it. Hold F. He's to the right-hand side, and he doesn't quite see him. Cyclops find the opener.
Triple wall take working out there, and I mean, it was a valiant effort, right? He managed to get the thermite, he managed to get a second kill, but there was people coming in from blue. They flop the church, they get the trade, they struggled getting the diffuser back in their pockets, but as soon as they did, that instantly went onto the ground. And with one still being left at the main stairs, he knew exactly where the last one was going to be coming from. Rotations covered off. Cyclops 2 rounds away from 3 points.
It's that tricky moment there for XSET. As we said, the highlight on those power positions was so close to being able to pull that out. You're in what is a 1 versus 1 at that point, and sure, by the time you get to the planter, then maybe you're on a different story. It's the idea of one rotate being the kind of breaker there. He took a gamble. He hoped that they were watching down onto blue, because that is where most did. It wasn't the wrong thing for the player on XSET there to do, because you expect that pressure now to come from the side of blue so you can have an angle onto the planter and get rid of them without even needing to have the 1 versus 1. He didn't check the double door because, well, you're not expecting it, and unfortunately paid a bit of a price for it. Can they have a little bit of adaptation, a bit of a change here? We've seen some on one side, but also on the other. There is the attacker repick coming through. Cyclops are a team that does love to use it.
They definitely do. A lot of changes normally coming through. It looks like a pretty default lineup here, actually, and then you see Fuse. And some of you might be thinking, Fuse?
G2 like to play a Fuse on this map as well.
Yes, but Fuse is really good on this side, because normally a lot of utility gets placed down near the Arsenal room, and you can just place it down in early entry, actually. Spirit's just finding Gadarada. That is going to be a trait coming out. However, potentially a second to come through as the confirm comes in.
That was it. They just droned him. They tried to lead him in through there on the hot drone, and you could see they were sort of holding off the angle there. Spirits was in a great position to bite back there on Adam on the top of the stairs itself, and well, the upside down rappel had arrived just in time if you're a Cyclops fan, and unfortunately just out of time if you're an XSET one here. It's still a back and forth. They've got rid of the sledge, and you've got to realize how much of the time was taken by the sledge on the previous approach onto this site. It was the start and the lead-in for Cyclops, so their previous approach isn't one that they're going to be able to replicate. They're not going to be able to double it down and put the pressure onto those main stairs. They've got to come up with a different idea. Hey, remember when you were like, nobody likes a hatch drop? we might start seeing some of those.
Yes, and this is where the fuse comes back into play, believe it or not, because they're going to be able to use that to get rid of every utility, everybody that is playing inside their area of the arsenal, which that means you only have to watch one direction. You watch towards the deep side of the A case, towards where this mirror is currently sitting. And with these fuse charges going off, they now know no one's inside of blue. We do not have to worry about that. There's no utility left there, so we can start putting the pressure down.
They're trying to eye it up here, and they're going to utilize the breaching charges and what else they can do to try and replicate the work of the sledge before. Put some pressure onto the conjoinment there, where a shield often lays, and gives them a little bit more of a swing option if they want to take that as the staircase. But at this point, they're still trying to work out what to do, how they can get the approach here. We hear the pop of gun 6, I believe, on somewhere else as the hatch itself gets cracked open. They're angling themselves, but look at the hold that XSET's got. It's that dangerous banana all the way around, a safe backline from the pop hockey pucks.
But that also leaves a bit of a weakness inside the church itself. Just a singular player, Yoga, being inside there, and as these fuse charges continue to pop, Cyclops need to make a decision here. 40 seconds left. They know someone is inside of dirt. They're trying to hold it off, but they're not quite going to be able to, well, bait them out of their safe positions. So Cyclops really need to force themselves through. And as soon as they do find out exactly where these players are located, that's when they can start to push.
Wow, there is one. Whether that was the dirt player or not, no, they're still isolated, but there they are over the top of the shield. Bite back, XSET. They find one, almost get a second, and it's locked off on the far side. Cyclops, they're absolutely overwhelming the site itself. It is now just Yoga left, but not for very long. Cyclops, they are sitting on map point. One more for the full 3.
And that is the first round in A8 where the entry kill does not lead to a transition.
Now you can do the stats.
So that's the first one. After 8 rounds, the entry kill does not translate into a round win. And Cyclops is the one to take that one into their pockets, put themselves up onto 6, and now have 4 rounds available to themselves to put 3 points on that scoreboard in their group.
It's a tricky one for
Team
XSET.
Brazil.
I mean, it's a very, very tricky one here for XSET. We always said how this was probably going to be one of the toughest maps, if not the toughest matchup in their group. And obviously they get a second swing at them later. If you're unaware, it's a double round robin, and it's not over yet, but it's still worth highlighting just how this was going to be the toughest showdown for them, because it's not just the experience of the team, it's not just the caliber and the history, but you've also got to look at the composition and the way they play, where this is probably one of the most mirror matchups that XSET will come across. The reason for a lot of people, obviously talking to our NA colleagues, that they've been able to do so well in their sort of inaugural new Fresh 5 season is, well, their game's a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more peppery and spicy than what people are ready for in that league. It's a lot of people that sure as heck can win their ones, but so is Cyclops. That is the brand that Cyclops has built. So they're meeting their mirror matchup, and they're unfortunately doing it as their first sort of swing, which means that you might have more of a struggle, and it's unfortunately been the story for them so far. They still have a chance. They still have 4 rounds to get themselves to OT, and we've seen 3 of 4 OTs from the opening 2 pairs of games. I'm not sure how the matchup that we had at the same time went.
Yep. I'm not quite sure either. Don't have that information. I just actually wanted to highlight Anaton. He was on Sledge, and then he was like, you know what, I want to go Kali. Actually, Ying maybe, and now he's settled on Glass.
Yeah.
So he's been going over a lot there, and Exothermic comes off, and the EMP will follow, and the smoke canister most likely to pop in as well. And it's a bit misthrown, but at least he's going to be able to look through with that thermal vision, get some yellow outlines if someone is not paying enough attention right here, and get an entry kill for the side of Cyclops.
Oh, it's dangerous. It's so dangerous, and Anaton is just kind of hoping that he can get a bit of a catch. The smoke is the response play, is the idea of, well, they're not going to sort of be able to find a route through, and that's always the changing face of Cyclops. You never know what that big beaming eye of the Cyclops monster is going to be staring down at you with, and well, they're actually going for a bit of a change of pace here. They have that open. They have that standard start. Whether they think that they can go super wide, it seems like there's a big stretch going towards maybe the bottom of Oil Pit. They're going to see if they can try and get these frag grenades up underneath and under the feet with the information of that secret sneaky drone.
Exactly, and that is going to be a prime target for one of those grenades to come through. He stays in the position, and that is the entry kill. Cyclops only needing 4 more to pick up 3 points on the scoreboard.
Oh, it is just that uncomfortable part of this era of game. A great bite back there. Yoga, he's inside the bedroom, strikes on one more. They're going to see if they can get the second grenade, but the first most likely destroyed the drone, so that one was blind. Yoga, he's trying to find a bit of space. Unfortunately, gets caught. There wasn't really a route out in that situation. Iagator, an important take, but we passed the minute mark. 50 seconds left now, and you can see they're doing a little bit more prep. XSET, they have those goo mines stacked up potentially to go over the top of the hard wall. They are looking at maybe biting back on these downward angles, but the longer that they're keeping Cyclops at bay here, the more that they can do. No, the drone survived, but he doesn't have any more grenades. He has a lot of bullets, though.
It's definitely going to be doing a lot of damage to Gomez there. He's about 60 HP, still hanging on. 25 seconds, Emmy. They need to force themselves in. And they know someone is on the top of the red stairs here. Failed to actually take care of the shield, but it doesn't matter because XSET is starting to fight back.
Anaton, he's trying to swing around with the glass. Spirits is dancing between two dangerous spots and finds one. Swung round and popped on the window. Black Ray is all that's left, but he doesn't get up the stairs. XSET, it's a journey of 4, but they start with 1.
The shield on top of red there, really important. They tried to clear with the gun 6. They failed to do so, and it allows more kills to start flowing in towards the XSET side, and it allows them to start fighting back. CCTV just won. They've lost Church twice, so XSET decides to go towards the gym bedroom now.
Gym bedroom, and that's it. This is the site that they were able to take as their first attack as well, obviously, once upon a time, and see if they can try and use it to stretch out their defense here. Obviously, they are still just one mistake, one slip up and one round away from this being over. And that's that sort of precipice, and that's that weird moment of pressure where for some people it is the make or break pressure. Well, for everybody, technically. It is that moment where it might push them over the edge, or it might sort of loop back round and take you back round to 0 of pressure and sort of go, well, maybe it's over. So let's play like it is and just see what happens.
Now, on the other side, I've also heard that the 7th winning round is one of the most difficult ones to get in Siege. Yep. Closing it out is just such a mental thing, especially if it's 6-2. It's like,
I mean,
we're going so well.
Yeah, how many X to 6 comebacks have we seen?
I was going to say, how many of those comebacks have you seen where it's a 6-1, a 6-2, you think, oh, surely this game is over.
Surely it's over.
And it's not. And they start losing. And I'm not saying Cyclops will now, by the way. I mean, I mentioned I want to see at least 10 rounds out of every single map during this major.
You want to get a good taste.
We got, this is the 10th round, so at least we're there. So they're just giving it to us like they're giving the Kali here. Not an operator you very often see. However, one-shot injure is still a very powerful mechanic to go for here. And Anaton might be wanting to practice a little bit on his flick shots here.
So what he was doing there was he was listening for any utility that might be on the other side that he might be able to get. Nothing was there, so instead he's going to do some work here. No, he's not, because it's already done. They have somebody who can do that job very well, and his name is Fuse.
Yeah, that's going to be popping some grenades in, but they're waiting just ever so slightly. They want to be baiting someone into that hallway before they start popping it. It's just a pre-place now, like you pre-place nitro cells. However, this one pops out. A couple of more explosions spread out across the room there. One of the lances goes off. That's got Arada's Q to start jumping in, but that's the entry kill. And they do start to come in from either side.
Spirit's in a bit of a power position here. They got to try and root him out, but they are holding on to construction, and that is the most important part of this. Usually, teams won't just throw themselves into the site. They'll see if they can root out the hold on the far side and at least give themselves some width. But here, the way that they were able to bite back, the pace of the response there of XSET was what they needed. If, again, one more slip-up, one more mistake, and this game is over. They know that pressure, and they know that they can bite back. Black Ray is looking for a take with a grenade underneath. Does some damage to Kino, but he's still Kino, ready to go into a little bit more of a follow-up fight. The smoke stops them. And just over a minute left now. They have some time. They still have 3 bodies and 3 guns, but they've lost, obviously, the entrance there, and the Lion, too, which didn't even get a single pop of the gadget off.
I think one at the moment he jumped in there possibly, but I'm not quite sure indeed whether or not he actually did. And it's now holding a tight angle with the SPSMG9, not actually with the big sniper rifle that is being brought, of course, by the Kalis, trying to find something here. All he needs is just one connecting shot, and suddenly it is back into a 3-on-3 situation here, and with 40 seconds left on the clock, there is definitely some time to look for it, but not too much anymore. Finds the kill onto the bathroom player. That's absolutely huge. Holds the rotation now. You gotta be very careful here, XSET. You cannot overextend.
Well, there's pings on a player, and Black Ray's moved his way into the top of the stairs. He's on a bulletproof that he takes his life for, but it's a trade back and forth. Another 2 versus 1 here. Suzuki is inside the site itself, but he doesn't quite know the true location of both. They know where he is, though, so they're going to make sure that they keep themselves stretched at arm's length. It's 10 seconds. He's still got to get the kit down, but he's not going to see the floor. XSET, they take another 2 more, and we head to OT.
2 more indeed. 2 more opportunities for Cyclops to close this out. And they went a bit quick there, we have to say. It might have been something new that they wanted to try, because as soon as that lance went off, the line just jumps in. And yes, they traded, but eventually not in their favor. And XSET had that man advantage for the remainder of the 2 minutes left on that clock. Cyclops needs to potentially slow it down. I know we do say that quite often. When they are in this position, when it's 6-X, we're like, slow down a little bit now. Stop being so aggressive. Sometimes it's allowed. But they don't want to stop. And if they win, it feels very satisfying, but often it can also be frustrating as you see them make these small mistakes by just jumping into sight, for example, with 2 minutes 30 left on the clock. There was no need to do that. Either way, 6-on-4, Cyclops still 2 opportunities to lock it off, and they have been dominant throughout the majority of the match.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing here, is XSET are biting back, but they're still in a position where they're growing. They're still in a position where they're able to find more and more behind them. There's more in those canisters. And as I said, at the very start of this, that's why I wanted a game with pressure, because you gotta sort of have that as your shake-up. We've seen teams have a bad, rough first day, and we've seen it rock them for the rest of the tournament, where they've suffered on the bad end of a 7-0 and a 7-1. Here, XSET being able to keep fighting back regardless of the result for both these teams, but most importantly, XSET, as we said, the sort of fresh young upstarts to the scene in comparison to Cyclops. It's lessons that are so important to learn, but only really taught in one manner, and that is going blow for blow in a game with a team that is cool, calm, and confident on the biggest stage.
At the same time, Cyclops, if you looked at all the predictions that were made by the fans, no one really put them out of their groups. A lot of people are still sleeping on them. And that's even though they have been to so many majors, to so many LAN events, just never really been able to surprise, as Yoga misses the opportunity there, tries to go for a repeat, and that is a big mistake. A-Gator was ready, we'll shut you down for it. And the Spirits is now thinking, should I go instead? It's a little bit of a phone goal that goes off that might push him off of it.
Yeah, surely they have an awareness. Well, they almost didn't there. Spirits is plucky and lucky. He escapes with his life, the most important part, 1 HP, but it only takes a bullet to get a connection to kill. So, him still being in the fight is the most important part of this. He's still a problem that Cyclops has to deal with. It's a big danger now for any of the remaining frags. It just takes a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of shrapnel in the ankle.
Just a twitch step, you know, even that would have been potentially enough here for Spirits, but no twitch in the board, so they won't be able to just drone him literally out of existence here, and he's staying up there where the rest of XSET is currently down on the side. So now Cyclops also have a different choice to make. There's 3 people on the side, there's 1 upstairs. We could theoretically go for a side push. We do outnumber them by 2. And of course, someone will be coming back as soon as we do that, but if we're quick enough, which they have shown they are capable to do so,
yep,
they're going to be able to completely take this site before Spirits has an opportunity to rotate back.
But they're being slow about it. And that's that sort of moment right now for Cyclops that's buying them some time here. The quick attempt at the explosion. There's the pressure in the breach. It's sort of a bit of a signal flare to Spirits to say, well, they're signaling their way onto the site itself. He's got to choose his battle perfectly. That's why he sat above the hatch. He knows that he can get a drop. Hopefully, when they're trying to open up the Moto side itself, he is just playing himself cautious. And a double kill with a nade is going to be something that waves that danger flag. The pressure is coming through onto the back. There is the catch on the loose player. There is Cyclops finally cementing it. XSET bit back just a bit, but unfortunately for them, it is a Cyclops game as the opener.
They tried to fight back, unfortunately not able to make it back to OT. As A-Gator is just quickly showing off his new Instagram reel here, for example, quickly recording his MVP status there. Well deserved. I mean, we saw multiple quad kills coming through. We saw Cyclops just being able to decisively strike after they opened up what they needed to open up. No fear in their eyes. And a victory that is well deserved.
I think that was it. It was a bit of a test, a bit of a sort of maker here, and as I said, it was never going to be an easy opener. No game is, technically, but it's not many harder than your opener against Cyclops, and that is where XSET found themselves here. A bit of a blow, but there's so much more siege to go. We will be on a short break with some sponsors before we're back to have a more in-depth look at that game.
There are civilians out there who need us. They can't fight back. They can't escape. And they can't heal their own wounds. That's our job. And we're the best at it. By being careful and compassionate, we can make the world a safer place for everyone. We do this to be of service. And we can't afford to be complacent. When we go out there, we work twice as hard to protect others. Whatever we have to do, we put the people first.
Get them out of here!
That will be our focus. With unwavering diligence, we defend. And we get to say that when Wolfguard is on the field, things will be different.
And welcome back here to the breakdown of the game that we just had. XSET versus Cyclops, with Cyclops taking a 7-4. It was a bit of a fight back from XSET, but unfortunately the 6-2 difference was a little bit too much on Club.
They did the best, you know, they tried coming back. They, you know, shut down some of the aggressive plays that Cyclops was able to bring. However, it's Cyclops. That doesn't stop. They realize, hey, we have an advantage. We can play 5v4 on the side on that final round. They get a double kill with that grenade. And then there's truly no stopping them anymore. Just ran through, was able to shut it out in the end there. On Church, yet again, one of the most difficult sites to attack, in my opinion, managed to win it 3 times from XSET.
I think that's it. And, you know, not quite having the lock in there on that very first attack around. We heard a lot of cheering during the game from the booths behind us, but that was probably one of the rounds that had the biggest, because Cyclops knew that was the big hurdle to overcome. Putting themselves into the 5-2 instead of the 4-3,
yeah.
Well, it is that story that has sometimes haunted them, is that second half, especially without the Monty on the board. Big plays, big motions, big movements, and almost 2 huge power plays back to back, but the difference is Cyclops's.
The difference is indeed, and they find themselves with those 3 points. Again, I'm going to mention it. Many of the people at home, many of the fans, the viewers of the majors would have not have put them in any position near making it out of groups. Yet they're the first one in their groups here to pick up these points, to pick up 3 points, which for now, of course, puts them on the top. But there's still 5 more games to go, so nothing is locked in yet. But they've definitely sent a message to the rest of the world saying, please do not underestimate us, or actually, rather, please do underestimate us, because we are just going to be walking around with these rounds and these points.
Wonderful stuff. And we have here a breakdown of generally how it went, and Anderton, he flew a bit of a flag, he let in, but that's sort of been the story with Cyclops. It has been the story for a very, very long time. He came into this with a plus 45. Black Grey, a little bit quieter than usual. He's one to sort of look back on, and
yeah,
you know, because he can have a bigger impact, and the other side, obviously, it's a little bit more back.
I was going to say, on the other side, it seems like there's way more kills than there is on the Cyclops side. Now, I don't know if my maths check out, but that is 37 kills, I believe, on the side of XSET. And I can only count
Maybe this is
24.
backwards.
I think it's backwards. 24 on the side of Cyclops. Yeah, it might be the other way. I don't know. It doesn't really matter because
I didn't want to say anything.
I was just checking.
You're
It's
the
like,
stats guy.
is this? Yes, it was. But either
Yeah.
way, well played by Cyclops.
Well played.
And they've just warmed up for another game that is going to be coming very soon for them.
No, that's the thing, is obviously a lot of these teams are doing their back-to-backs, and here's the first one up to see if they can put a little bit more of a difference in. But before we get to there, obviously, it's always worth highlighting how XSET did have a bit of a fight back. They had some energy. It was the first game. It was that start here for them in the Charlotte Major, and it didn't exactly go the way that they wanted to, but you got to start somewhere. And a loss is one of those places, they'll know this more than anyone, where it can go from here.
And if you say NAL was anything to go by to 5-2, well, let's just say 1-4-1 in that case.
It's
there.
just as good.
It was just as
It's
good. They
just
will
as
still
good.
make it through. It is far from over yet, this group. We've only got into match 1 and soon match 2 to be underway.
See you after the break.
Addiction, you're a guilty affliction, yeah. I can't